let's just start. Probably we'll be keeping the session again. It would be around 45 minutes or something, not much deep. So we'll be covering from, so yesterday we were on the point. Probably by today, everyone has joined the Decade course. The link has already been sent to you on your email IDs. Like you need to join Decade platform and then sign up there. And then you need to go for the exact same thing, like the TypeScript 201 course that we were surfing through yesterday. This is the one, right? Okay. So before that, yesterday I did share the, I was sharing about something DFX yesterday. So DFX was the thing that you guys need to have pre-installed in your PCs. So DFX command line. So what I can do is has everyone set up the DFX in their PCs? Whoever has joined the session today. If not, need not worry. Just so yeah, let's just start with the. I'll share the commands accordingly, and then you can follow along. So, guys, if you can just follow me on the same page. So this is the Decade course. Everyone can open side by side in your PCs. You just need to go for Decade platform, and then there you will be finding out TypeScript Development 201 Challenge, and in that you can just hop in the course. Okay. After that, you just need to start. So this is the project that we'll be making in the series of the 6 sessions that we're taking here. Probably 5 sessions. This is the second session, right? There are going to be 3 or maximum 4 sessions in which you'll be having the knowledge to complete this project, and then you can build your own projects as well. So the overall outcome, like the main highlight of the project, is that we are creating a marketplace smart contract, and definitely we'll be integrating the front end part of it as well. Yeah. So yeah, let's just hop in. So just open the same page, and so yeah, so this is telling the prerequisites are knowledge of TypeScript 101 course. TypeScript 101 course, I did share some, like in the TypeScript 101 course, there are some videos about depth of architecture, like on Internet Computer Protocol. You need not go through the code part there in the 101 course that is present on Decade platform. If you want to go for that, it is a bit old, like the documentation hasn't been updated there. But TypeScript 201 has the latest documentation. So we'll be following that itself. So in that, if you want to go through the architecture and like more deep into the protocol layer itself, so it's totally upon you. There are unlimited resources. You can just go to the ICP blockchain website itself, like definity.org, internetcomputer.org. So in that, you can just have anything you want to know about Internet Computer Protocol. So the unique features or anything, yeah. So just go here, like this is the whole stuff here. So if you have any doubts about ICP, rather be it related to the development part or with some of them which are not related to development part. So you can just go for Ask ICP AI, and it has everything that you need to like actually have. You need to have the knowledge, right? So you can just check out the AI platform built by ICP itself. All right, so we are hopping into the dev section today. So okay, so just give me a raise of hands if someone has already, like, who all have not experienced TypeScript, like who hasn't touched TypeScript yet. JavaScript everyone must be familiar, right? Anyone who hasn't, like, we're trying to cover the TypeScript here as well, very basic layers of TypeScript. If someone, okay, Appen is the one, and who is else? Charles is. So you'll be experiencing the TypeScript first time, right? Anyone else? Navya also?
First time. And I don't know JavaScript.
Yeah. No worries. Because it's actually like you're already at some product manager. Sorry?
I'm an old C programmer.
No worries. So I'll try to cover, at least from my side, I'll try to cover from the very basic section. So yeah. Okay, guys. So we will try to spend at least 15 to 20 minutes to at least grab the syntax power, like what exactly syntax of TypeScript is. So it could be much easier for you if you are already a developer in JavaScript. So it actually adds a layer of easiness for you. But anyways, JavaScript also has something like JavaScript is very building, like it's very developer friendly language. So in one go, you can have the like understanding of it. So okay, so there are two types of languages, guys. The like from the very over from the top layer we are talking here. So first one are the strongly typed languages, and other one are the loosely typed languages. So strongly typed languages here we say as the Java, C++, C, Rust, and all of that. Rust is also like we were talking about Rust yesterday. That how ICP has inculcated Rust in its development programs. So what are the benefits of it? We have lesser runtime errors. Like the code base is bit stricter. We can catch the errors at compile time itself. So compile time means that when we are compiling down the program, we can check the like what are the errors that we'll be facing, right? So how exactly this is done? So like I'll be coming to that part as well. So another are the loosely typed languages. Loosely typed languages are the one usually ones that has lesser lower, like the learning curve is a bit straightforward. Like you just read the syntax and you grasp it. It's not much heavily, it's not much focused on syntax. It's like it was made to help developers write code fast. It was like already methods were written before by the developer community. It has low learning curve and all of that. So okay, so if you are a developer in JavaScript, you already know, right? This is the function. Like if for writing a normal function, so this is the thing, main the definition of the function and defining the data type. Like we are not defining, we are just taking the variable as let. We are storing the variable number in the let, okay, so let number is equal to 10. We are just assuming some variable to be 10, and then we are, you can just see, right, number, first we are defining the number is equal to 10, and then again on the second line itself we are defining number is equal to text. So you can just have the feel, like if you are a developer and let's say you'll be getting the errors in this only when the compilation is done. So after, at the end of the compilation, you will be actually getting to know that first the number was defined as a natural number, and then suddenly how come it has been transformed into a string. So this was a, like now we are returning it, now we are returning the number. If you run it in the code base, you can just see what exactly are we, so that after returning the number, we'll be getting the data type of number as a string. But anyways, like you can just see, right, first it was a natural number and then suddenly it got transformed into a string. So if some developer just jumps onto this code part and he ignores the first line, he will be thinking that originally also the code was a textual format, and rather than the data type was a very natural number. So now what is now how TypeScript has helped us in this? So if it was some normal language, like you already know this is the syntax of C++. In C++, we are defining the data type along with the variable. So we have already defined it to be an integer. So there are integer, booleans, strings, sorry, characters. Strings are the derived data types. Characters are the primitive data types, right? So int is the primitive data type here. So first, if we have defined the int number is equal to 10, and after that, if we are defining the number is equal to text again, so you actually know, right? If it was already defined as an integer, how come we are changing its like properties to be a string? This is not possible, right? So this code would not run. This would give the error here itself. Like let me just try typing in here. Okay, I'll just If you just copy this code base and try pasting it in your VS Code, you know, right? You will be getting the error here. So the error, okay. So you already see that we are getting the red line. Red line means that first it was defined as an integer, but how come we are changing its data type to be a string? Because text here is in the string format, and first it was, so this was the thing, right? But if it was written in JavaScript, you can just see the error won't be coming again here. Okay. So you can see, like, if we here we don't have any red squiggles, the code seems to work fine. We are not getting any error here. So if a developer was entering into the code base from this line itself, how come he would be aware that first it was defined as an integer and now we are defining it as a string? So this was the problem that TypeScript helped us with. So, okay, how TypeScript has solved this? So just don't think of TypeScript something like very much separate from JavaScript. It is just a layer. Like, just think JavaScript is a small part of it, and TypeScript covers the advanced concepts of JavaScript in much better format. So how does JavaScript, how to come TypeScript code run in your terminals? So first, there's a compiler separately for TypeScript, which is called TSC compiler. The TSC compiler converts the TypeScript into JavaScript, and then JavaScript is converted into the, like, we can run the JavaScript into the browser as well, and in the Node.js as well. Like, if you want to run the JavaScript in the terminal, so you can go for the Node.js, and if you want to run in the browser, so you already have the console.log. Okay. So these are the two compilers apart from TSC, which you can actually use along with. TSC is the compiler. If you want to install TypeScript in your in the VS, in your VS codes, just go for these commands, guys. If someone is following along with me, I'm pasting the command in the chat box. Create a basic Node app or something. I'll be creating myself. Okay. For me, the already I was having the TypeScript, like after compiling, like after the terminal, so let me just check my version. Do I have the TypeScript installed in my, okay. So I already have the TypeScript installed in my PC, but if you run these commands, you, after like following these commands, you, if you are on the stage where you're actually able to get the TypeScript version installed in your PCs, so you are completely fine. You can just follow along further. Now create a separate TS file here. This is a TS file, like just give it a name, something called as a.ts. TS is the TypeScript extension that you need to have followed. Okay. Okay. Can you send the link of website? Yeah, sure. I can just, I don't know, like it is my personal website. Like I don't have any, let me just check. Can you just let me know if you're able to open it, Charles? Yes. Oh, okay. So definitely you can just go for it and have more information about TypeScript. Okay. So you can just think, right? You are creating a TypeScript file here, and you are already defining it to be a constant, and x has to be a number. Number means that in front, like you have already defined that the data type should be a number data type rather than some text or something. If you compile down this file, you are seeing that eventually the code is getting converted into JavaScript itself. So you, like, I haven't created this file. A.js was not created by me, but when I ran this compiler, I got the a.js file, and in this you are already aware that the whole syntax has been converted here. So the after eventually TypeScript is getting converted into JavaScript. So you actually, do you really need to have all of this knowledge? Probably not. But if you're having this knowledge before jumping into the Agile book and making your projects, it would actually be much beneficial for you. So Again, like just let x is equal to number, and again, like, so there are ample number of examples here. I want to cover to the basic types here. So first of all, there are number. Again, the TypeScript provides you some basic data types. Number is there, string is there, boolean is there, null is there, undefined is there. So it's like, if you want to go for the hello world program in TypeScript, this is the one. You write this hello.ts. Okay, so you can just see, first of all, we are defining the number name as okay, perfect. So you can just see, right? Like when you convert this, when you run this code, try to run this code. When you compile down this TypeScript code into Java, like you after using a TSC compiler, you can just see, like if it was normal JavaScript, the syntax would have been something like this: function, then the name of the function, and then in this we are giving the parameter as the first name of the function, console.log hello first name, right? Simply we would have given this, right? Node hello.js, and it would be like hello Chetan. Okay, so if it was written in JavaScript, but if something is written in TypeScript, we need to define the data type along with the parameter that we're giving here. So this is the only difference, that we are strictly, like the word strict here is used, like you can see, right, in the a.js file, we are strictly defining the data type to be written along with the variable, along with the parameter name, along with the function. Everything on every single detail, we need to strictly define the data type. We can't change it to be something like, we can just if we are writing TypeScript code, it is actually helping us to resolve all the errors side by side. Like if it was written in a normal language, and we won't would have able to detect it during the compile time. At the end of after writing the code, we would have seen that there are some errors that it actually, so this is the thing that TypeScript is helping us along with. So this just adds an extra layer of security, extra layer of another open, like it actually, if you're writing some big programs, you will actually be able to see that a lot number of opportunities you're able to see with this strictly defining data types in front of all the parameters, right? So there are other examples as well. So if you want to go for some another example, let me just go for this one, some example, some dot ts. I'm just trying to get you guys comfortable into the syntax of TypeScript. So you can just see, first of all, in the previous code, we were just defining the parameters in front of parameters, we were giving the data type for it. But in the sum.ts file, you can see even after the parameters, and again, even after the function, the main definition of the function, we are defining it to be a number. So you already know, right? If it wasn't, though the syntax is a bit, like if you're like using it for the first time, syntax doesn't feel much familiar with, but anyways, like just try to go along with it, and you will actually see the power when you are writing the marketplace contract and how it is actually benefiting us. So this is the reason that TypeScript is the primary, like the primary choice of developers right now in the market. So every code base, the big organizations, all are trying to jump their codes into the TypeScript version, right? So I
And
need not cover.
yeah, I wanted to add some color to that. Um, yeah, TypeScript is definitely the preferred language in the industry. But if you are wanting to just learning JavaScript, there's a tool called JSDoc where you can define your types, and JSDoc will do the syntax highlighting, the error checking, kind of like TypeScript. And there's also some other benefits of JSDoc, like documentation of your code, which is nice. But TypeScript is the preferred way. But if you wanted to stick with JavaScript, then look into JSDoc.
Exactly. So the only thing is that, since every, like if you think of it something as a developer, So probably the big organizations are actually doing this transition very smoothly. So if we are like, rather than being like, if we are strictly defining the data type along with it, so definitely we have some extensions in the JavaScript that help us check the errors along there itself. But anyways, if we have something like, apart from the syntax errors, there are a lot of other, like there were a lot of another opportunities also that TypeScript has enabled us with. So if you want to stick to JavaScript, that's totally up to you. But if, since the industry is actually transforming itself, and probably for us as developers, it is actually good that we need to keep upskilling upskilling ourselves. So I guess that could be the, yeah, a lot of people seem to be, so Matthias is saying that a lot of people seem to be wanting to go back to JS doc instead of so have code then docs, code breaks. Exactly right. So like it's okay. So like, if we can go into some controversy that why, which would like, even the TypeScript is relatively new than JavaScript, because JavaScript has been with us from ages, and it was the language that helped us evolve into browsers and all of that. But I believe in, I'm of the ideology that if industry is moving into this standard, probably the industry has already predicted that this is the much better thing that is good for us. If some of the developers are still comfortable and want to go in the TypeScript, JavaScript itself, it's totally up to you. But as of now, rather than going into the debate and the controversy, like which one is better, probably like, let's just stick in the curriculum phase that the Azle book that we are following here has the support of TypeScript itself. So this is a, like for the course, at least we need to follow TypeScript. But anyways, if you want to, like, you already have the opportunity, right? If you believe you're already good at JavaScript, so just you can like go for a grant and then import the CDK. Like you can go for another CDK in JavaScript and publish it on the ICP docs. So then you can apply for the grant as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to also add, I downloaded the boilerplate code, and what I've noticed is on the back end, it's in TypeScript, the index.ts file, but the front end is in JavaScript. You can also do the front end in TypeScript if you want as well. It's React supports both JavaScript and TypeScript, obviously. But it just seems like, am I correct in saying that will we be writing the front end in JavaScript, or are we going to
Yeah.
strict? Okay, so this front end will be JavaScript. It will not be TypeScript for this curriculum. Is that the intended purpose?
Yeah. So the
Okay, got
framework
it.
here, so the front end framework that we'll be following is the React. So definitely, so guys, so coming on to the part that mostly the backend part is usually written in TypeScript, right? So since we already have Next.js, if someone is a developer in Next.js, you can see after, like, eventually industry was already stuck to Express. But when Next.js came, it got us the power of writing into the front end and back end also. So in the similar manner, so TypeScript eventually has a lot of another advantages which gives us. So yeah, so as of in this curriculum, the backend part would be written in the TypeScript, and the package that the dependency that we'll be using is the Azle npm install Azle. That is the command that, like, Azle will be importing in our folders. So that is the first thing. And the front end is written in React like the JS framework, the React framework, which is based upon JS. So yeah, so so this is the project structure that is going to be. Exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Thomas, for clearing that out. Okay. So yeah. So meanwhile, if since I believe, so you already have the slides, right? So you can just go for the more TypeScript if you want. This I just wanted to give you the feel that how it is. How is it? It is not that different from JavaScript. It is a normal statically that we are just trying to check the, like, it. This is the only thing that syntax has a difference. Apart from that, it's not very much different from the JavaScript thing, right? So now, like, we are going to the Azle book here. Before that, we have already covered the 1.4 and 1.5 thing yesterday, the ledger and the internet identity thing. So this is the overview part. Okay. So before the jumping into the code part, just clone your websites, like clone the repository, guys. So this is the command here. You can follow along the boilerplate code. Then go for the npm install. I believe let me also follow it along with.
I just set up my WSL environment, right? Could not resolve host. I know that's probably a new question, but
Okay. So actually, I am not a Windows user. So probably if someone here is a, like, you can just post in your like if you have some errors in your, like if it asking for host permissions, I'm not sure with the Windows terminal. But WSL, if someone is here to, like, in the Discord community, we already have many WSL users, so you can post it there as well. But yeah, after the lecture, you can just post a screenshot as well, and then I'll try to resolve that out. But
okay.
anyways, like if you, yeah, so if you're a Mac user, it's not like really like it's the normal terminal that you guys can use. Okay, guys. So probably I have already done this part. So let me just clone it again for me. Meanwhile, you can just go for this having the NVM in NVM. You already, guys, everyone must be having here. So just has everyone set up the DFX in your PCs? DFX installation takes a bit of time. So go for installing the DFX.
Yeah. Yeah, I installed mine. You might encounter an error where it says NVM command not found. Um, I would just, there is a way to fix that, but yeah.
So do you have the DFX? Like after installing the DFX, you just need to, if you are like, this is the only command that you need to follow to install DFX. If you are a Windows, if you're a Mac user at least. So you just need to check for the version, and if this is working fine for you, probably you are all set for the next part of the lecture. So Thomas,
Looks
is
like
it done for you?
I'm in version 0.15 and you're in
Okay.
0.16.
Okay. So you can go for the, if you want to upgrade, you can go for DFX, like DFX upgrade.
Got it.
This should work fine. Yeah.
It must be the documentation one version
Yeah.
behind.
Okay. So right, even I am on the previous version. Okay. Let me just check.
Yeah, now I'm on version 0.17.
Okay. That's great. Yeah. For me also, thanks for telling me. Like actually, I was even on the previous version. Yeah, usually the latest ones are always the best. But if you want to go for some, like afterwards, if you want to go for some specific version, it's totally up to you. And after that, just add the DFX to your path here. Okay. So after cloning the repository, so you must be on the, let me just, okay. Okay, so if you have cloned here, you can see the project structure. The project structure will be something like Definity JS backend and Definity JS frontend. So this is the, again, the normal node applications that we write, right? So this is the backend part which which will be having the index.ts, and then this is going to be the frontend part, which is going to be having some certain components. One is the components folder, again, the utilities, assets, app.js, index, and normal. Yeah. Okay. So we need not spend much time here. So finally, we are on the part that we're trying to implement the, we are actually entering into the code part, right? Let me just set up the project structure for me as well. Probably by now, if you can give me a raise of hands that everyone has the DFX installed there with them. If someone hasn't done it, yeah, Thomas has done it. Navya, yeah. Okay. Okay, guys. So I am on the project structure here. Just go for the npm install command before actually running anything else. It usually takes a bit of time to have all the dependencies installed. So this is going to be the source folder where we'll be having the canister code. Canister code means the backend code. And then the SRC, which will be having the front-end code of our code folder. So most of the times we'll be like by the fourth lecture, we'll be having the backend part sorted. So this is the second lecture we are on. And by the fourth lecture, we will have our complete backend code. And in the fifth lecture, we'll be finally be submitting the projects with like finally be completing the decade course with the settling the front end. Yeah, this is how this is the timeline that is we are going to follow. Probably by now everyone is done with the structure. Okay, so on the top of the index.ts file, you need to have this. Okay, so just bluntly copy paste in your VS codes, and then I'll be explaining every single data type that we have imported. So these are the ones that we guys need to follow from the documentation, the Demergent Labs documentation. Go for the chapter number. Okay, so you can just see the major types that here are query calls, update calls. Text is the thing that we have imported from Book. All of these things are written in Book. So you can see like we have already installed as well as the dependency. And by the way, if you have the error of hash code here, so you need not worry as of now. If it is just, but I have already talked with the K team that it is declaring the error that it is not able to install itself. But anyways, it will be not be giving any errors for you after the end of the code. Like when we'll be compiling down the whole code base, it would actually not be causing the error. It is already installed, but I don't know how, like even they were not sure that how these red squigglies are coming here. So they are trying to resolve it. So if it is similar with you, so you need not worry for that. So these are the data types that you guys like need to follow that we'll be covering. Some of them will be covered today, and eventually all of them would be covered in the coming session. So query calls, update calls, the first 5 are going to be the one that we are trying to cover today. Okay. So let's just jump into the documentation. Query methods. Okay. So first of all, guys, if you're a JavaScript developer, you know that when you are trying to jump into JavaScript, the first 2 functions that you always encounter are just to even practice JavaScript. The first 2 functions that you always encounter are the getter and the setter functions, right? To print out some statement, you go for the the getter method. And then if you want to update some statement, then you go for the setter method. In a similar manner, just I'm trying to take the analogy here that just think of query calls as something similar to the getter methods, that we are not actually updating anything in the code base. On the backend, we don't want to update the previous existing state. We just want to print out the similar the existing state of our code base onto our terminal, or for the user who is trying to interact with the application. He is not inputting, like let's say there was some, let's say the application is asking for the username of the individual. So we are not asking him to fill out that username. We are just asking him to print something as hello. Yeah, so this is the example here, that this is a query method. We are bluntly just turning out on our terminal that if someone is clicking on the canister button on the front end, so like let's on the getString function, if the getString function is getting called to the front end part, so the message that the user will be getting is query method. In the similar manner, if something is like, I'll just to create the difference of analogy here, update methods are the one that actually helps us encounter, like if the application was asking something as take your usernames, like input your first name, input your last name, then we'll be defining the canister in front of that. We are defining the data type to be update. Like if it was normal JavaScript, we would have just bluntly written increment function, and in that we would have returned the counter. But in the, since it's a TypeScript, we are strictly actually checking the data type, and the data type that we have followed here is update calls. Update calls need to be like, if so, okay, so if the state of the backend is needed to be changed, like the existing code of backend code needs to be updated, so we always the always the update calls need to be followed. But if we want to just bluntly print out the like we want to print out the statements, we go for the query calls, in which we don't want to waste the compute. So the compute part means that, so if something is written by the method of query methods are followed, so these instructions don't usually go through the consensus. Consensus means that there is a certain number of, like every computing power, like every backend has some compute power, right? Let's say you are writing 1,000 lines of code, and if everything is written as update method, so you can just like, the query functions are the one that we don't want that in the backend. Our code base should not, okay, let me just try to break it down with some analogy, that we just don't want the whole code base to be going on the ledger. Like if whole code base is going into ledger, there are some methods which are very simple, and if we are wasting our compute even on that methods, so it is just normal, like we are wasting some, like we are wasting the compute of our PCs and all of the applications, and even we are filling the cloud. Like we need not waste our compute power, because it's definitely, we have the costing is $5 per GB per year, and so on. So but why are we wasting the costing of the servers? So let's just, like if some normal functions are going to be written, so better, it is always better for them to be written in the method of query methods. If some important methods where we are asking something, where we are asking some information from individuals, or anything regarding that which updates the state of code, usually needs to be followed by the update methods. So you can just go for differences here, that these are usually the read-only methods, and the update methods are the read and write. They perform both of the operations, but preferably are the ones that, which if we don't want to waste the compute, and some of the functions are very simple, so you can just go for the query methods, right? And in the similar manner, so it usually don't go through the consensus. Like consensus, everyone knows, right, that if we are trying to publish something on the ledger, every single node machine needs to accept that piece of code. Like you can just think, right, if every single function was going through the consensus, how much compute power would have been wasted? So probably I need not stress more on this. I have already spent some time like explaining the difference between them. So this is the most important thing. Like when you are actually taking out the applications to much scalable level, that query doesn't involve the consensus and yeah, exactly. So Matthias is right that query doesn't involve the consensus mechanism, while update methods usually involve the consensus mechanism. This is the prior difference and the only difference that you need to care. But be like, yeah, all right. So I guess this was a basic difference that I wanted to share with you. And again, if you want to read more about the query methods, so if you are trying to store some DB here, so this is normal syntax that we have already covered. That okay, so you can just take a deep dive into it. Nothing much to spend upon here. Okay. So now, if you want, I can just okay. So these are the things that we have already covered. So query methods, update methods are done. Now going for the text. What exactly text is? So in the normal JavaScript language, or the usually like any languages that you have covered, we call the data type as string. String is the like the derived data type out of characters, right? Characters are the primitive data types, and out of that we go for the strings, right? In the similar manner, if we are writing code in the Azle book, the Azle dependency, The similar that string terminology used for string here is text. So I can show you the examples. So these are the candid references. And if you want to go for like, you can just cover, like today we'll be covering till stable tree maps. But apart from that, if you want to go at your own pace for other parts, just go for the, like you just need to follow the candid reference here. So I am on the text part. So you can see every data type is defined differently here. So this is the only thing that you guys need to spend some time to actually be aware of all the data types. So text is the thing like you need to define if you want to return some hello world program. So, okay, so only terminology difference is there. Like if some textual format needs to be updated out of the candid file. So this is the thing, right? Okay. So another data type here is record. Okay. So if record is something similar to as objects, would someone like to share what are the objects in JavaScript? Anyone from attendees at participants here? Objects, what exactly are the objects in the JavaScript? If you can unmute yourself, guys. No, objects as so these number string are the primitive data types, right? But objects are okay. Anyone else wanna try?
I'm probably
What
gonna
exactly?
butcher the definition. So I've always considered objects and like it has a certain amount of properties in it, and there are certain methods in the object where you can manipulate these properties. That's like the too long to read layman's term definition of object in my mind. I know in TypeScript you can define classes and you can have constructor to instantiate an object. When I say instantiate, you create the instance of that object with all of its constructor. The constructor initializes the data in that object, and you can start accessing those data within the methods of those objects. That's I might be butchering something. I know JavaScript has a
No,
weird. I mean, I'm probably using the definition of objects in the context of a Java or C++ programming language. I think JavaScript has some nuances in the way it
yeah,
describes its objects, like JSON objects, for example. They have like
exactly.
key value pairs. So if you're talking about those objects, then that's like more of a payload. Uh, so it's typically nothing but yeah, like there's a
Exactly.
key,
Yeah.
which is a name, and then there's a value to that key. So I don't know, like which definition of object are you referring to is what I'm asking.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll be just clearing my point. So just objects are nothing, right? So let's say we have in the C++ programming, we usually follow the concept of classes here. In the classes, we define, let's say the class defined his username. And username has certain attributes. Attributes could be something like his name, his age, his roll number, and anything like that. So in the similar manner, on the JavaScript, we use the concept of objects. So objects are nothing that stores the key value pairs. In similar manner, the Hazel book here is taking the reference of objects as the okay. So objects in the JavaScript classes in C++ is equal to the records in the Hazel book. So record is nothing much different than the JavaScript. So object, sorry. So you can just see like objects created by the candy type function are usually the JavaScript objects, like the records is equal to the objects in JavaScript. I just wanted to clarify out, like, because this is the important thing you actually need to follow. We are every single property of username in the marketplace. Let's say we are defining some order value or order, like let's say we are creating some order, and that order could be of certain object, like let's say we want to have some X product, and X product could need to have some certain properties. So we'll be taking the record here, and in that record we'll be storing the key value pairs that this is the particular property, and this is the name, and this is the age, and something like that. So records are the thing that you guys actually need to follow. Okay. And then coming to the most important part, stable tree maps. So, okay, before going on to the stable tree maps, I want to show you something. Like I want to give you a running demo of how exactly the very basic applications that Canister usually look like. Okay. Bear with me for a second. I'll be showing you what exactly I want to just, because it's already been an hour, I wanted to cover that, how exactly the application would be looking at end. Normal how a hello world program or something like that would be looking at end after deploying. Come on, just a second. I want to share with you some. Even yesterday, I shared this with you. There's the something. Yeah, so Thomas and Matthias have shared that the key value pairs or something.
Yeah, I overcomplicated my definition. Yeah, just think
Yeah,
of a key value pair. The whole class
exactly.
constructor thing, that's another paradigm.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Yeah. Okay, give me a second, guys. I wanna just check out the. Yeah, so go for these commands, guys. Run these commands in a terminal. I have already pasted. Like, let me just paste the whole URL here. From this documentation, you can check out the commands, and then terminal. Okay, so this is how a certain front end and a back end project in Motoko language would be looking like. So, like I want to show you something like how exactly the applications, the back end of the applications usually look like. So, usually before starting out the applications, there are certain DFX commands, DFX command line that we installed previously. So this was the use case that actually, like, DFX is starting here. Make sure that whenever your applications are running, this is the usually the first error that everyone encounters, that why is my application not running. The only issue here, usually the issue that usually is with the developer, is that they have not even started the DFX. So you need to have the DFX started in your PCs. After that, you need to go for the command here. Yeah, so if you are on the local dashboard, you would actually be able to see that if you are able to open this ICP dashboard, it means that your application at least has started. So if it would have, like, otherwise your application won't even start, and you would be encountering some very basic errors, which usually you would waste your time upon, and then you are like, why am I facing why I'm facing this application, and then you go for npm run start. Okay.
Where's the git clone command? I don't see it on this documentation.
Yeah, just you need to go on the second chapter here, and that probably in the deploying the project locally, just scroll down on the documentation, and this is the command that you need to follow.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's not git clone, it's npx.
It's npx, yeah.
Okay.
No, actually, I'm just okay. So probably I just got you, like I myself got you confused. So what I'm trying to cover is that how exactly you need to start your applications, right? So okay, do you want me to cover the ICP docs and then switch to this part because it has
Oh
already
no,
been
no, sorry. I thought we were supposed to follow your what you're doing right now, and I was just trying to clone this Git, but if you were just demonstrating for the sake of demonstrating, then I don't need to clone this Git repo.
yeah. Okay. So actually, Matthias was asking that. So I thought like I just wanted you guys need to have like eventually you need to start your DFX, right? The DFX with the command line that we installed. So I was trying to give the demo for that. So after deploying this is the command that usually need to DFX deploy. Yeah. So eventually the whole project would be looking something like this. You will be having DFX folder here. After running the command called DFX deploy, the project would start in the backend. It is creating the canister backend, canister front end is getting applicated. Okay, there are some errors here. Okay, let me just wait for a second on this. Eventually, the URLs are like once the projects are deployed, so you will be getting two URLs. So first, your URL for the front end would be something like this, and for the backend, you can actually see your backend part of the candid interface would be something like this. So both would be running on your local host, and then you can deploy to the mainnet as well, for which you will be actually be needing the cycles. At the end of the projects, even if some Hello World applications are being done, or if some normal like if some big scale applications, both the URLs you will be getting separately, the front end URL and the back end URL. Okay, so I'll come to this part a bit later. So let me just cover for the stable tree maps, which was the last thing that was needed to be covered for today's session. Stable tree maps are the okay. So has someone covered hash maps in C++ or maps in JavaScript? Anyone from the participants? Hash maps in C++
Yeah,
or
I've
maps?
I've implemented a hash map in PHP, but it's like it's just a way to optimize your search and almost and faster than login or something. It's a very fast way to find things, basically. That's all I can
Yeah,
say.
exactly. So stable like hash maps or maps are the best data structures, like not the best, like definitely there are another data structures which have some certain like the issues in them, but hash maps in C++ or maps, the concept in JavaScript is the one that in the similar manner we have something called as stable structures. So just think of stable structures something similar to JavaScript. Let me open it. Okay, probably there's some internet issue. Yeah. So first of all, guys, so to be very clear, so let's say let's say you have written your application, and you are not even assured that like you want after some time you want to change the state of the application. So like whole like there is something called as heap memory and there is something called as stack memory. So the normal candid references that you were taking, all of the data types that you were importing in your Azure application, so that were being done in the heap memory. Like from the once the application has been deployed, and like once you want, like if you want to redeploy it, the existing state wipes out from the application. Like okay, just to be like try to bear with me for a second. Like the thing is that when you want to redeploy your application, So usually the memory that is existing, the memory that it has taken from the heap, usually that is wiped out because you have already deployed your projects. But at least from the personal PCs, the memory that we were using from the heap, you need not use that, right? And then like let's say you want to redeploy it, but you are able, if you want to restore the references, the heap memory references that you were taking with your data types. So that is the issue, that stable memory usually, like stable memory is the concept here. So stable structures are the ones that help us do so. So rather than going into the deep, like the deep part of that, I would just think of it as, so stable structures are the best data structures right now for used for the JavaScript that help in the Agile book that you need to follow. This is the syntax for the stable tree maps. So it is similar to JavaScript map that you guys like. So as Thomas was sharing that, the time complexity of reading, inserting, or removing some values in the, let's say if you are using the hash map, it is done in the O of 1. O of 1 means it is done in the constant time. Let's say we are doing it taking 1,000 inputs, or let's say 10,000 inputs. But the reading, inserting, traversing, even for the deletion part of the, even in the deletion properties that we want to apply. So using the stable tree maps, the time complexity is usually in the O of 1, right? So this is the advantage that stable tree maps usually give us. So the syntax probably could be something like not very much friendly here, at least. So first of all, there is the data type, and so, okay, let me just go through the theory, right? So this is stable tree map with the key of type NAT8. NAT8 is a natural number with 8 bits. So in the candid reference, you can see that there are NAT8, NAT16, NAT32, and NAT64. In Solidity also, we have different data types, and with each data type, let's say NAT is thing, NAT8 will be having 8 bits, and similarly till 64 bits we have the power, and it will be having value of type text, right? Unless you want to define default data type, like, okay, so default data type of any, skip this part for a second. Then you must explicitly type a stable tree map with some arguments. Okay, so stable tree map works by encoding and decoding values under the hood and storing and retrieving these values in bytes in stable memory. Yeah, exactly. Matthias has shared that in the IC canisters. Thanks for sharing, Matthias. That in the ICP canisters, you can actually upgrade the canister code, but when you don't want, if you don't want to lose the data with your canister, you try like you need to use a stable structure if you don't want to use the existing state of your data. So stable structures are the concept that you guys need to actually like spend most of your time should be spent upon stable structure if you are going for some big level projects, because these are the ones that actually helps us write the code in much cleaner way, right?
So it's basically stable structures is our database for these canisters. Is that right?
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
So just think of it as like if you want to store your memory for large number of for a greater number, like if you want to store your properties, the key value pairs for some time, so just and for some larger time. So otherwise, once the project has been deployed, the memory would wipe out from the heap. But if we want the memory to be referenced with that heap, so stable tree maps is a solution for that. If it's fine, Thomas?
Yeah, I'm that makes sense. So
Yeah.
stable structures are just those objects that we talked about earlier with those key value pairs and
Yeah.
objects.
Exactly.
It's just that data. So that makes sense to me. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So I'm just going, since we have already reached the time of the, like it's already been 1 hour for the session. I'm just covering this bit a bit, like this part for now. And then I would encourage you guys to go to the deeper, like how if you like take a deep dive into stable structure. So probably it's not that needed for the workshops, but it is actually encouraged to actually understand all of the stable, like this is the only map that you like the most of your time would be going on. Apart from that, everything is way much easier than the like stable tree maps. Stable tree maps is the most difficult concept to grasp, at least in the Hazel book. Apart from that, all of the concepts are really easy. So I am going through the example. So let's say if I want to like simple, so JSON serializable is something that, so you are defining some okay, so I don't have some another example here. There was some example of transferring your tokens. Like if you want to transfer your tokens from one wallet to another, that also can be done through stable tree maps. This was implemented here. So, okay. So if you want to convert your array into, like, let's say the array is converted into bytes. And if you want to stringify that array, like I'm not sure if this example would fit in as of now. Let me just check for another example here. Yeah, so serialize this exactly. Yeah, Matthias, you're aware with the concept. I am okay. So guys, I'll be coming like there's an example, like the practical implementation of this is the one that, let's say I want to transfer my wallet tokens to your wallet tokens. So if you are doing it via TypeScript, that can be done through the stable tree maps. So I'll be giving you the code part of that by tomorrow. Before that, like there are some, like you can just in the application, in the code part of the application, go just copy, like, so you have already imported, right, these packages, and now you can define the records here, the objects that we were talking about. This is going to be the first piece, that we are defining the product here, product details, like the name of the product, the title of the product, description, price, seller information, attachment URL, sold amount, like at what amount the product where we're trying to sell it. Then comes the product payload, the information about, like, these all things you need to add in your application, the marketplace that we are creating. So define all of these records, right? Variants is very much similar to the records. So variants is not that different. Yeah, so like you can just go for the documentation. Variants, it is like the better syntax is that variants don't usually like go for, if there are some null properties that you want to define and you don't have, as of now, you are not very sure that you want that applications to be from, like if something needs to be optional for the user, you always try to go for, or there are some emoticons or anything else, so you go for the variant part. Otherwise record objects are usually the preferred ones. But if there are something that you don't want to, like that you are not very sure that these what exactly are going to be the properties, so you can go for the variant. But anyways, you can go for the record as well. So these are the records, these are the objects that you need to prepared by tomorrow. And then, yeah, so and from here, from 3.3 we'll be starting from that our sorry, the not tomorrow, the lecture day after tomorrow. So on we'll be catching up for this on Thursday, right? As of now, I guess we are done for today's session. So now we are open to doubts and queries. Yeah, so okay, so we have officially ended the session, and now I'll be coming to the query part. Okay, Matthias has asked what exactly is principal. So let's say you are principal versus identity versus account. Okay, so when you have already created your accounts, right? NNS identities that were shared in yesterday, NNS ICP tokens. So when you are creating the NNS identities, so usually you get something called as your individual, like NNS. That whole account is something. So if you have created your NNS identities, so that is your whole account. In that account, you can have tokens, like there are a lot of bunch of tokens, right? All of that are ICP projects. NNS, if you go to the NNS ICP DApp, there you will be actually be seeing that there are a lot of CK is there, CK ETH is there, Dragons, Open Chat. This is your whole internet and network nervous system, which will be having your, this is your whole account. Now, when you take a sign in with your internet identity, you will be getting some certain, let me show you mine as well. So this is your internet identity, 22643, like whatever this is. It is just opening. And after that, okay, so this is my portfolio. Okay, probably I should not show that. Okay, okay, never mind. Okay, so this is the ICP address. This is the address of your wallet, the account, similar to something called as identity or whatever you say it. Identity was the previous address that you saw, the 6-7 digit one. This is your address. And now coming to the doubt that Matthias was asking, what exactly are the principles? So when I was trying to show you that, for the same reason I was trying to show you the application, that when you are trying to after deployment, you will be getting this sort of URL. In this URL, you can see this is the last canister ID, right? Canister ID is the thing. This is called as the principal. Like this is the canister ID. When you try to link this canister ID, like eventually you need to deploy the project through this launchpad, right? My canisters. When you deploy your project, it will be going through, like when you're creating the canister, eventually there will be certain principal linked with your application. You can see this is called as principal. Your principal is, and this is your canister ID. When you are linking your wallet, the cycles I was telling yesterday, cycles is the compute that you guys need to, like, cycles is the compute that you guys need to have to deploy your projects. First was this concept. After deploying, you need to link that principle. Like the principle is the, like how I need to convey it. So this canister ID is the ID of your application. And then if you want to link it to your wallet, for launching our project on the launchpad, the principle is this thing, right? Like just think of it as linking something to your application. You need to have some passphrase. So passphrase is your principal ID. So as of now, analogy could be taken in that simple manner. But eventually, once you are done with the deployment, you'll, for deploying a project, the principal ID is your, just take the analogy as to be as a passphrase, nothing more than that. Yeah. So probably these are the terms that were getting you confused. Yeah. So Steve has Matthias, if you can just let me know if the doubt is clear.
So, principal, can you, that address besides principal, is that's not the same as your internet identity, right? That's the is that the canisters?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So all of the things are really different. Canister ID is a different. Canister ID is the ID of our application getting deployed. And then we have the addresses the principal ID is the one that is something similar to the passphrase of your wallets. And when you deploy through your terminal, there usually they ask something, the passphrase. The passphrase that is generated is the principal ID.
So you can
And then
send,
there is some, yeah.
You can send tokens from your internet identity to this principal, and this principal will, correct me if I'm wrong, it will basically fund the canister so that you can
Exactly.
buy cycles to keep the canisters running. Did I get that all correct, or am I missing something?
Yeah, definitely. This is the thing. Eventually, we don't use tokens. Cycles is the compute power that is getting used. Eventually, tokens are getting converted. Every token has around, like each token has around, I'm not sure, 1 trillion or like 1.9 something, that cycles. So that cycles as the compute power, and that cycles are linked to your principal IDs. So not exactly tokens are linked, but yeah, cycles are linked to your principal IDs.
Okay. Oh, Matthias.
Yeah, so you need
Mark.
not spend much of your power, like you don't need to spend much of your brain power on this concept, because it is not really, like, you need not worry about this much.
Yeah. Okay, cool. It was a good question though. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Matthias has been throwing, like, eventually, Matthias has been really active. Yesterday also, he was really active. Yeah. Probably Ask ICP AI is the thing that for these kind of doubts, you can go for Ask ICP AI also. Yeah, definitely, Matthias, you like IC. Yeah. Even it's my first choice as of now. Okay, guys. Anything else for today's session? Anyone else who has some doubts or something? Upon it was very first session for you, so probably if you were able to catch up with us, since you have already watched the recording. Thanks, Nova. Thanks for attending the whole session. Okay. The recording will be out very soon. So, okay, guys. Just before, yeah. So the recording would be done by tomorrow. Yeah, exactly. I need to probably edit my recording because my bullet balance was shown there. Yeah. Anyways, guys, just even with like we did like if you have followed us on socials, we did the post was done yesterday, and if you're like we are the airdrop that I was talking yesterday, so that is actually going to be helpful for you, because if you are posting something like this socials from your IDs as well. So we are going to be launching the airdrop. In that, we are trying to keep like probably we'll be keeping some tasks. As one task could be that posting your like having something posted on your socials. So you can already like if you want to enroll for the airdrop, so probably you can just post on your LinkedIn whatever you liked about the session. So yeah, on your Twitter, on your LinkedIn, you can just post anything that you're liking about the session. So that would be the one task. Yeah. Also follow us on all our social handles. So this is my Twitter ID. So I am most of the times active on Twitter, like 24 hours. So this is my Twitter. So this is the Twitter of ICP North. Yeah. Okay, guys. If we have already officially wrapped up the session. Do you recommend? Steve has asked. Do you recommend we complete TypeScript Smart Contract 101? Yeah. So you need not actually. So because actually I have already covered initially that it is under updation, that the Decade team is updating it. It is based on the old documentation, not on the new one. So we everything that is in the TypeScript 101 we are trying to cover here itself. So after that, it would be much for like exactly you need not spend your time on 101. But if you want to, you can go for that. The documentation there is actually old. It is not updated to the latest one. We are expecting the updated documentation on TypeScript 101 by the end of this week. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and yeah, if you have any separate questions, you can ask on Discord. I'll be creating a dedicated channel on Discord for this TypeScript bootcamp. Okay, guys, shall we wrap the session?
Yeah, thank you, Chitan.
Thanks, Nova. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for joining. Finally, that's a wrap. Bye-bye. Bye, guys. Do post on your social, guys, if you like something about the session.